Hello everyone, welcome to the Autring. In the heart of eastern Ukraine, it was a scene that could be a nightmare surprise for the Kremlin's ideology, whose mission is to take over this part of the country to Moscow. After 8 years of conflict, Russian-speaking Ukraine does not want anything to do with Putin-backed separatism. With more than a dozen independent theatre companies, great museums, and 69 universities with talented design schools, Kharkiv wants to maintain an international airport, independent media, banks, and foreign tourists. Beyond the so-called dividing line just 200 miles away, the isolated cities of Ukraine, Luhansk, and Donetsk have lost most of the basic signs of a prosperous and free society. Putin said in April 2014, shortly after the annexation of Crimea, "We need to protect the interests of Russian speakers in Ukraine." The people of Kharkov here will oppose it. War has destroyed millions of lives in densely populated areas, divided families, and shattered friendships, but there is one area of successful violence. It is to mobilize much of the population against the Russian invasion. There are two veteran performers in our theatre in the 90s who say they loved Russia as their homeland until the first shooting by separatists of Ukrainian citizens, said Saksalin's UA's director. Today, the Russian army is standing on our border and threatening another aggression, so Putin needs to understand that he has lost the most important people. He speaks to us Russian, lost Ukrainians to speak. Outside the old theatre, the threat of full-scale conflict hangs on Putin like a sword. On Wednesday morning, training for air traffic warning signs in the city ran through the streets, crushing the nerves of about 1.5 million residents. No one seemed to know where the air raid shelter was. The sound of sirens reminds me of a movie about World War II, where people were hungry and cold and didn't know what the future would be, IT specialist Svetlana Gushko tells. Kharkov is the home of tall and charismatic Safonov, and the 38-year-old is ready to fight for it. We all love Russia, including the two 90-year-old actors in this theatre, but after the first shot of our people in 2014, these old men have been for soldiers. I started thinking about where to get these bullets, he says. Now this Russian-speaking city is ready to protect itself. Sakhalin is named after the island of Siberia, where Joseph Stalin's Gulag once lived. Sakhalin is said to be at least 1/3 of the Gulag prisoners on Sakhalin were Ukrainians, Safonov says. We were joking. Putin hijacked the Crimean peninsula, so he hijacked his Sakhalin island. Safonov decides to use his art and comedy to protest the Kremlin's attack. We are teasing the idea of Russian prisoners. We tour the town on the front lines and play for soldiers. In March of 2014, shortly after Russia officially annexed Crimea, a humiliating cry about Putin appeared among Kharkov football fans. Such public contempt would offend Russian sympathizers. Kharkov is the central location of the region, which the Kremlin recognized political strategist and philosopher Alexander Dugin calls Novorossiya or New Russia. On February 21, 2014, at the height of the pro-European revolution, the Kremlin alliance president Viktor Yanukovych fled Kiev and went straight to Kharkov. So, he expected to get strong support, but backing for his pro-Russian agenda failed to materialize. The regional governor Mikhail Dobkin picked up Yanukovych at the airport that evening. The following morning, a majority of the members of parliament in Kiev agreed that Yanukovych had abandoned the post of president and voted him out. His family and security guards boarded a helicopter and fled to Crimea. Since then, political figures with ties to Russia have failed to gain traction in Kharkiv, despite its historic ties to Moscow. Although Dobkin has criticized the pro-Western 2014 uprising in Kiev, it remains popular. In last year's mayoral election, he received 27.6% of the votes. Another pro-Putin Kharkov politician, 45-year-old Yevgen Malayev, was mentioned in a report by the British government on Sunday as a potential leader in a Russian-planned coup. British intelligence has suggested that Russia's government Murayev was considered a potential candidate. However, this can be a difficult scale. Opinion shows that in Ukraine, Malayev supports only about 1% nationwide. Thank you all so much for watching. For further updates, please stay tuned to the Autring.